Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens! So guys, my most anticipated movie of the year has finally arrived, and if you missed my spoiler-free review, that review is on my channel right now. I talk entirely about the film, in depth as much as I could without spoiling any plot points. If you want to check that out, I've linked that in the description below. This review is going to be filled with spoilers, so if you have not yet seen The Force Awakens, you've been warned. Let's talk in depth about this thing. And please be sure to stay tuned until the end of this video, because I can't wait to show you what's behind this. It's something really cool I picked up, and I love it, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So if you've seen my review, you know how I felt about it. I love this movie. It's not a flawless movie, but really no movie is. You can really pick apart just about any Star Wars film, even the great ones. I had an amazing time with The Force Awakens, so let's talk about some major plot spoilers here. Number one being that Kylo Ren is actually Ben Solo, the son of Han and Leia. Now, I genuinely did not expect that. I didn't go into this movie with speculation. I didn't go into this movie with theories or ideas. I just went into this film knowing virtually nothing and was super excited to watch everything play out. And I love that plot point because it gave a very necessary depth to Han Solo. Because we all love Han Solo, he's such a great character, but you really didn't know that much about him from just the movies. You don't really know about his parents, you don't know much about his former life, and so having that be in this film gave his character a lot more depth than if he would have just been Han Solo again, and it also made it even more tragic when his son kills him. Han Solo does die. This is something a lot of people were speculating about because Harrison Ford said in Return of the Jedi that he thought Han Solo should have died, that it would have given something more to his character, it would have been a great sacrifice. And while he's right, I'm glad that he didn't because we got to see him one more time. Killing him off at this point I think is a really wise choice for a number of reasons. For one, it gives the film some very serious, dramatic moments that you can feel is like, okay, something real is happening here. And number two, Ford is 73 at this point. He can't play Han Solo forever. So it was a brave choice on the filmmaker's part, and I think it paid off. Another major spoiler is that Rey becomes a Jedi. Finn isn't necessarily the lead character of this movie, as many of the promotional spots may have made us believe. Rey is. She's the central character in this film. And when Finn loses very quickly against Kylo Ren in their lightsaber fight, I was like, okay, that's good, because as I was watching the trailers, I kept thinking to myself, how does this guy go from Stormtrooper to Jedi so quickly? How in the world does that transformation occur? And when he lost instantaneously and really wasn't able to stand his ground, I was sitting there like, okay, that makes sense. Where are they going to go with this? And I'll be completely honest, the first time I saw the movie, when the lightsaber lifts out of the ground and flings through the air, I thought for a second that Luke Skywalker was going to catch it, but Rey catches it. She turns it on, she realizes that she has this ability within her. When she's making her breakfast or whatever, her portion, that little green goo that turns into a strange green cupcake, she has a little doll that looks like Luke Skywalker. She has a Rebel pilot helmet that looks like Luke Skywalker's. She is definitely in some way closely related to the lineage of Luke Skywalker, that's for sure. So she's always had this ability within her, she just never knew that she could tap into it, and once she feels that she can and she does that Jedi mind trick on the Stormtrooper, it doesn't work at first. It takes like 3 tries, and when it finally does, you're just like, holy crap, that is awesome. And big laugh when she goes, and drop your gun. And I'll drop my gun. So great. So when Rey is having the lightsaber confrontation with Kylo, I was getting chills. My eyes were welling up. It's also great to finally have a badass female Jedi in a film. And what I loved about it is that Rey is basically fleeing throughout the entire fight. If you rewatch the movie, she's running away as Kylo pursues her until she's backed up against that cliff and finally digs deep and has a moment to come back against him. And that was also good because she is untrained. She just is now learning this side of her. So it wasn't like, I'm magical, I can do all these things and I'm amazing. She was definitely learning. And in that moment, we also learned that Kylo Ren is not fully trained. We cut back to Snoke and he's like, bring Kylo Ren to me, we will complete his training. So he's young. He's also inexperienced. What I loved about Kylo Ren is that I actually did get to know him. You see his mask off a lot. You feel personal with him. You understand that conflict that's within him. There's that scene where he's sitting down going like, forgive me, I feel it again. There's something going on inside of him that makes him want to go towards the light side, but he just doesn't feel that way because, as Han tells Finn and Rey, Luke started training a bunch of young Jedi, and one of them went wrong and betrayed him. that was more than likely Kylo Ren, and probably why Luke disappeared, because he felt that he had failed. And that's the other thing I loved about this movie. There isn't that much exposition. There is, of course, but unlike the prequels, you fill in the gaps in your mind a lot here, and you can kind of understand character motivations just by their actions, and that is good storytelling. Speaking of Luke, now I can finally talk about Luke Skywalker. He's in the movie for like 30 seconds and he has no lines. Now, for some people, that might be very disappointing. And I'll be totally honest, the instant this movie ended, I was like, I just wanted a little more Luke. But really think about it. Did Abrams or Mark Hamill or the production team or the marketing lie to us? No. Our expectations lied to us. Luke is not on a single poster. Who's on the center of the poster? Rey is. She's the main character. Finn is off to the side in the poster. Luke is not in a single trailer. J.J. Abrams has never said that he has a substantial role in the movie, to my knowledge. So there is no dishonesty there. If anyone was disappointed by the lack of Luke in this movie, it would be because our expectations in our mind led us to believe things that the filmmakers were never trying to do. And you also have to remember what I said in my original review is that we're gonna get 2 more movies. We can't just pop in the next VHS tape of episode 8 like I could when I was a kid and experience the closure and finality of that. We have to wait. But it's not 3 years like it was back in the day, it's only a couple, so that's even better. And what I think is important to remember with a movie like The Force Awakens is that we cannot yet see the big picture. It's so easy when this movie ends to just start judging and quipping and saying all these things and hating on all these little elements and nitpicking on every little thing like I did with the prequels, not understanding that we just got a movie that was a billion times better than the prequels and just launching into this hate parade against a movie that was very well made because we don't know the big picture yet. When Empire Strikes Back ended, tons of people probably were thinking, why was Yoda, this master Jedi, on Dagobah? Like, why was he there? If he's so powerful, why wasn't he helping people defeat Darth Vader? Why is he in exile? I don't understand. Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force ghost just randomly appears to tell Luke where to go? Well, that's convenient. Han just by chance finds Luke out in the wilderness when he's unconscious on Hoth. There's just so many things you could complain about with The Empire Strikes Back, or even with A New Hope, that no one does because they were so well made and we grew up watching them and we can see the big picture. We can't yet see the big picture of The Force Awakens. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to. Now, I mentioned in my spoiler-free review that there was a character that showed up in the third act and kind of said, hey, I can help, and it felt abrupt out of left field. Now, that character I was referring to was R2-D2. He just turns on all of a sudden, shows everyone the rest of the map to Luke Skywalker, and it was like, why didn't you just turn on earlier? I mean, maybe somehow Luke allowed that to happen? That's all I can really think of. Like I said, we don't know the big picture yet. And the reason I say we don't know the big picture is because of one specific shot. A shot that we got in our first theatrical trailer of Luke touching R2-D2. Now, in that moment, Luke may have powered down R2. Luke may have been controlling R2 in that moment to be like, look, you can't tell anyone where I am, just stop until the right moment. And maybe Luke chose that moment and R2 then powered up and showed the map. All I can say is that in this film it felt abrupt. But I haven't seen the other 2 movies yet. For all we know, we'll get those puzzle pieces and things will make more sense. Now, as I said in my original review, I really wasn't a fan of Starkiller Base. It was basically a third Death Star. In fact, someone in the movie actually goes, it's another Death Star! So they're acknowledging that it's another Death Star. It's just, I didn't feel much emotional weight when that thing exploded. It was fun and visually incredible to look at. And my gosh, Poe Dameron was so great. Oscar Isaac, I needed more of him in this movie. But I just didn't really care so much for that. It felt like you could almost take it out of the movie. But I'm glad that Poe Dameron came back. You felt like you could almost just stay with Kylo Ren, Rey, and Finn the whole time. And I didn't care for the look of Snoke. He looked very CGI to me. And it could be that that hologram was just making it look worse than he actually was. But I would have preferred an actual person. Same with Maz Kanata. Lupita Nyong'o, or however you pronounce her name. She's a beautiful, lovely actress and very talented, but I didn't care for Maz Kanata. She looked kind of prequelish to me, and gratefully those characters aren't really in the film that much. I love when they're running and Finn's like, what about that ship over there? And she's like, that ship's garbage. The other ship they're going to blows up and she's like, the garbage will do. And it pans to the Millennium Falcon. Amazing reveal. Such a great idea. My audience applauded because I saw it at a press screening first with like 10 or 12 people there. So I had like the press, zen, quiet experience. And then last night I went again to the premiere and saw it with a packed theater of fans, which was a lot of fun. And I love BB-8. He was so hilarious. The moment where he pulls out his lighter and gives Finn the thumbs up, such a big laugh. This movie just hit all of the right notes for me. It was a beautifully directed movie, a gorgeous film with long, wide takes of great action, really well-written script, funny, witty dialogue, good characterizations. It gave characters that didn't have that much emotional weight more emotional weight, that of Han. And our villain, Kylo Ren, was a person. He wasn't just like, tear the ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive. I mean, Darth Vader's awesome, don't get me wrong, but really, we know so much more about him now, today, because we've seen 6 Star Wars movies and there's been endless expanded universe books. When Star Wars 1977 came out, really just imagine that, okay? The movie blew everyone away, amazing visual effects, but what do you really know about Darth Vader? There's one conversation where he's like, back then I was but the learner, now I am the master. What does that mean? It's so easy for us now because we see the big picture of Star Wars. With Force Awakens, we're just now experiencing that beginning. When you just compare Kylo Ren in Episode 7 with Darth Vader in Episode 4, not the other 5 films we've had to flesh out Vader, but just those 2 movies, Kylo is actually a far more interesting character, one that you actually can learn more about, and that is really impressive. And I love the lightsaber fight as well. Abrams used real sparks when the blades clashed in real life for the actors to experience, and you can tell when these things are flying in the movie, they look realistic. And you get to see a use of those cross blades on his saber when Kylo twists the hilt, cutting into Finn's shoulder, and you're like, okay, if you get up close, that shit can burn. Guys, in all honesty, I love The Force Awakens. Seeing it a second time, I was able to pick up more small details. I had a great time with this movie. Some of the major complaints from its critics are that it's too similar to Episode 4, which, you know what? People saw the originals and went, I love the originals. People saw the prequels and said, I wish they were more like the originals. Now people are seeing Force Awakens and saying, that's too much like the originals. Make up your damn minds. Yes, it is very similar to Episode 4. Both feature an older man who is killed, although Han is nothing like Obi-Wan. Why? Because Obi-Wan taught Luke everything. Han teaches Rey nothing. Rey is already self-sufficient. She doesn't need anybody's help. She will need help to learn about the Force, but Han's position with Rey is basically just like, hey, you're pretty cool, I like you, let's be friends. It wasn't like Obi-Wan Kenobi teaching Luke things. Really, most of the similarities that I found between A New Hope and Force Awakens are just aesthetics, the way it looks. There's a desert planet, there's space battles, there's a lightsaber battle. There are certain things that reappear, like the cool game board, and Finn holds the remote up for a second that Luke trained against. There's Millennium Falcon fighting the TIE fighters, but I mean, that's in pretty much everyone except for the prequels. And of course, the Starkiller base element. But the themes of this movie and the things that take place are very different than A New Hope, especially in launching our new characters, and we finally get a badass female Jedi. Guys, I had a great time with The Force Awakens. That is my spoiler review. Definitely check out my spoiler free if you haven't already, and my wife is going to upload something very cool to her channel. She actually got my initial reaction going into the theater and leaving the theater. I recorded it on my phone because I couldn't take guests to the press screening, and she's going to give her thoughts as well, and that's going to be on her channel very soon. Now, as I said, I wanted to share with you guys something really cool. It's right here. I am so excited to have this. This is an amazing wood carving of Darth Vader provided to me by Space Wolf Limited. They also sent me another one. Look at this thing, the Alien Queen. This thing is beautiful. I want to just put this on my wall. I'm going to put this on my wall. Space Wolf has been really great to me. He's an independent artist. Every engraved art print he makes is hand-signed and numbered. He's a hardcore fanboy for sci-fi, science fiction, space exploration. No other artist is making work like this guy. Each piece sold will personally have a tree planted in its place, which is one of my favorite things. And as of right now, everything is 25 to 50% off for the holidays. Darth Vader is only an edition of 100. Sold-out editions are never remade, and all original artwork is destroyed, so it is impossible to do so. What they do is truly beautiful, and they also plant trees, which is just the greatest thing. He has tons of amazing stuff on there, and I've always had a great time browsing his site. They've been very nice to me. Definitely check that out. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much to Space Wolf Limited, and I hope you guys check out Star Wars The Force Awakens. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and as always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.